So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Amit from Capsule TV, and I would like to welcome all of you to this very interesting fireside chat on innovations in fintech. So, today we have got the privilege of being in the virtual presence of a trailblazer in the fintech industry. Our guest, Mr. Santosh Bhat, is the head of data science at policybazaar.com. Hi, Santosh. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, it's a pleasure being here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah. So without any further ado, let's deep dive into the discussion. So let's start with a bit of background. Okay. So could you share with our audience your journey in the world of fintech? How exactly you came into the fintech? What has been your experience in the fintech industry till now?
Sure. So my journey with fintech has been primarily my experience at Policy Bazaar. Just to give an introduction about myself, I am a machine learning practitioner or a data scientist. I've been, I actually, studied this in my, a master's as well, and almost 25 years of work in the artificial intelligence space, right? Even before it was actually, it became popular and so on. So I joined Policy Bazaar about 3.5, close to 4 years now. So yeah, my experience with the fintech has been in these 4 years, where a lot of things have actually kind of changed if you look at the technology landscape and innovation.
Very good, very good. So can you also provide an overview of the current state of innovations in fintech? Means what are the changes that you are seeing over the last 3-4 years in the fintech industry, and highlight some key trends or technologies that are currently reshaping the overall industry?
So in my, from what I have seen, there are two major areas that have actually impacted the fintech space or the technology in the financial industry. One, I can attribute this to the payment side. I mean, it's actually made a significant impact. And the second one is actually the role of AI in the last couple of years, which has again dramatically changed the landscape. I'll kind of cover both of these in a little more detail. On the payment side, one, it has made the payments a lot more easier for the consumers, both in terms of the experience as well as the affordability. Right? I mean, you've got different instruments coming in. There are a variety of instruments. The payment success rates are pretty high if you look at the overall success. And, in terms of, the most important thing that is, it's actually helped the player, or basically the provider, is actually to come up with easier options for financing and so on. That's essentially helped the consumer quite a bit, right? That's from the payment side, right? And there are a whole bunch of initiatives that's actually taking place in the payment side. Now, on the AI side, I think there is a lot more things that are happening. Actually, as AI is getting more and more commoditized in the market, you see lots of initiatives that are coming through. So the first and foremost, I can think, from a digital standpoint is, in the financial industry, it's a lot more pertinent. How do I basically, let's say, personalize the journey, right? That is one sort of big business use case. The second one is from a provider standpoint. Let's say I'm in, whether I'm in insurance or whether I'm in any other, financial domain. How do I look at fraud management? Can I use AI to kind of look at, controlling or managing or detecting fraud, right? That's the second aspect. The third aspect is, like, particularly, I'll talk more about this maybe sometime, but in our case, what happens is a lot of conversations that happen to and fro between the customer and the and our own advisors. How do you actually mine all the insights and give the customer right set of recommendations? And this is all of these areas where AI is actually helping us through speech to text, through deep learning models, etc. Or even, in the last 1 year, the large language models that are coming, becoming more and more popular.
Very good. Very good. So, if you look at the startup space, specifically the fintech space, including the insurtech space, okay. So, collaboration has been very crucial. Collaboration between traditional financial institutions and fintech, or maybe startups, or maybe any insurtech startups, is becoming more common. Okay, so can you discuss how they contribute to the mutual growth and innovation within the industry? More specifically around the innovations, how it contributes to the innovations within the industry.
Sure. So let's look at defining basically the traditional players versus the let's say the modern age, or whatever you want to call it. Basically the fintech players, right? Like, for example, us at Policy Bazaar. So now the traditional organizations are extremely strong on processes, as well as actually building products, right? Let's say constructing products for the consumers, right? So they've got their processes, they've got essentially the entire machinery to kind of do that, right? And on the other side, we've got the modern players who are actually strong at technology innovation, let's say, right? So now what happens at our end is, like, we actually generate a lot of insights, data insights, and even help basically bringing in newer type of customers as well, as the adoption of digital becomes more and more prevalent. You uncover more and more segments that are coming. Yeah. We also look at basically the trends that are actually emerging from from these segments. Now, all of these insights are actually when we collaborate with our partners, we actually collaborate with respect to data and all of these insights that come across. So hence that entire information basically of newer products, some maybe think of things like personalized products, and talking about from a insurance perspective, it can be basically applied to any other sector within the financial domain as well, right? So now this is a classic case of collaboration that's happening between both sides of the industry.
So now let's talk about insurance industry particularly. Okay, so the insurance industry is also undergoing a digital transformation. So can you elaborate on how fintechs and insurtechs are navigating the challenges and opportunities presented by this transformation that is going on in the insurance industry?
So prior to, let's say, just a few years back, right? So where, I think a lot of customers were actually a bit reluctant to kind of, buy insurance online, right? So that's how it was.
Yeah.
Now, fast forwarding to the current day, I think that, basically those barriers for actually people to kind of buy online is kind of coming down, right?
Yeah.
Now you see a lot more people who are willing to kind of pay online and actually buy stuff online. Now these are amazing opportunities for basically for both the insurance industry as well as for us, right? You're getting all kinds of people who are actually coming. Now from a challenges perspective, now think of it, right? Like earlier, we used to have a scenario where, only the privileged people who would actually buy online. And so the quality of the people basically who would buy online would be actually sort of, pretty superior. Now, as you are actually gaining momentum, now you tend to get all kinds of people. And hence, even the kind of, some of the risk associated with, ensuring people like this also goes up, right? I mean, you need to have the mechanisms. These are some of the challenges, right? Like, as an example, deep fakes, right? Deep fakes as a concept. Now, that's actually becoming more and more prevalent, right? Now, how do you basically detect, and these are not very easy problems to solve. You would have seen some of those, things, which were published recently. So somebody morphing, etc. So the deepfakes is a real problem, and then you also have the challenge of basically, mainly around risk. How do you detect all kinds of fraud that are coming through the digital journeys?
Okay, very good. So you just spoke about deepfakes and the kind of frauds that would happen in the insurance industry. So a very similar thing that means blockchain has been a technology which is being utilized by few of the organizations to basically reduce the kind of frauds. Okay, so means specifically means people are saying that it would be a significant disruptor in the financial industry. So how are these technologies, means blockchain or similar technologies, evolving within the fintech space? And what potential applications or advancements do you foresee in the near future around these kind of technologies to reduce the kind of frauds happening?
So, see, the blockchain has been around for some time. Is just basic, and it's pretty promising. And there's been a lot of advancements, particularly if you look at basically the cryptocurrency and the entire world. It's emerged significantly, right? So, blockchain as a technology is very powerful. It can the significant advantage of actually having a blockchain is that it increases the transparency. Right. I mean, and hence there have been really good business use cases of controlling fraud, like the credit card fraud and so on. Right. So that's just one part of the application of blockchain. You could potentially look at, a very, how do I say, very different types of products of insurance also coming in place and hosted on the blockchain. And essentially it would, and in my opinion, it would also reduce the overall cost in the long run, obviously, because, basically, if you set up rules and everything is transparent, even to the customer, then there is actually the entire overhead of actually, processing a particular, say, policy becomes much lesser, right? But this is over a longer term. Of course, it's the key problem for blockchain has been essentially adoption. I mean, so for a blockchain to be successful, you need multiple parties to get together and and implement that. So the challenge has been adoption. However, I do think, looking at the merits, I do think the moment for blockchain has actually arrived. It might actually be disrupting our industry quite very soon, in my opinion.
Very good, certainly. So if you talk about AI and machine learning, so we are seeing an increasing adoption of these technologies in terms of they are increasingly being integrated in financial services as well. Okay, so as a leading player in the fintech industry, as well as in the specifically in the insurance industry, so how does PolicyBazaar.com leverage these kind of new age technologies to enhance its services and provide more personalized and efficient solutions to their customers?
Sure. So, Policy Bazaar has invested significantly in artificial intelligence and machine learning. I mean, of course, it's that journey started even before I joined. So, if you look at the productivity of our own, basically sales advisors, or even the contact, basically the service advisors, right? Um, uh, if I increase the productivity and essentially extract all the insightful, insights from all the conversations that happen over a phone call, I would actually be able to recommend better and better products through even better training for our advisors and so on. So that's the fundamental to device. That's one pillar, right? Basically, how do I actually improve the efficiency of the system and even have better experience for the customer? The second big, a pillar would be the fraud, right? So, and third, of course, we can go on how it can improve conversions and so on, but I'll just stick to these two. Now, what we've done is our in-house team, we've actually, got our own data center within our own premises, where we actually have built a speech-to-text engine. What that means is, we get thousands, tens of thousands of hours of calls every day, right? So all of that is actually converted to text, which then is very useful for deriving insights. For example, let's say a customer who's between the age of 30 to 35, he's got, say, diabetes and hypertension, example. He's looking for himself, and basically he wants a multi-city coverage in health insurance. Now that's instantly available for the for our advisor to look at. These are the customer requirements. What are the different plans available that these are which can be made available for comparison? And then it also lists out the pros and the cons of each of the plans and so on. So it's made life easier both for the customer as well as our own sales advice, right? Now all of that is actually live and is working very nicely inside the system, right? From the second, basically lever where we, I talked about, I think just a few minutes back, I talked about fraud. Right now, everywhere you see a lot of, you still need to detect fraud, determine risk, and basically, right? So now, how do we do that? So artificial intelligence, we've actually adopted in a very big way. We actually do the facial match. So there is what we call as a PIVC, or the pre-issuance video call, exactly. Where, right, we take that video and match it with the KYC document of the customers, and determine whether it's a match. We also do the voice verification, whether it's the same person who came on the call and the same person. We also do a check for the deep fakes. It's called a liveliness. And on top of it, we've got a graph which looks at multiple interactions, device ID, phone numbers, email ID, address. Lots of things coming together for, assessing the risk associated with one particular customer, right, who's actually just come on board. Right? Just a few scenarios I could go on. So whether it is marketing, from all of these calls, we actually get a lot of intents. Now the drip campaign actually can be personalized.
Exactly.
Right. So many use cases, and again, as in when business use cases come up, it keeps unraveling. So we built our own, or actually we've actually fine-tuned our own large language model, the LLMs, basically, and which is now being used for launching all of these solutions as well.
Very, very good. So let's talk about customer experience. So it has been a crucial thing for across the industries, and specifically for fintech. Okay, as well as the financial industry as a whole. So how are fintechs using innovations, okay, uh, or innovating in user interface design or the digital experiences uh, to improve the customer engagement and satisfaction in an environment which is highly competitive uh, and very much aggressive. So, what are the innovations that fintechs are bringing to the design and digital experience?
So there are multiple elements. Actually, finally, it still boils down to the fact that, which I've always believed in, is that, don't let me think, right? When I'm coming, I should be able to provide a very seamless experience. Now, coming on to the website, I'm looking at hundreds of different, plans.
Yeah.
Could be, I can correlate it to any other thing. So is there a way I can actually summarize that entire information and do a recommendation? That's one.
Yeah.
Can I look at a better, user? Even in terms of the design, right? I do get a lot of data as to where people drop off, what are people doing, and so on and so forth. Can I actually look at all of these to come up with innovative ways of solving that problem?
Exactly.
Right. Now, one way I said, can we summarize and so on? That's one part. We are also thinking about, like, can I translate into, if I could actually have sort of a read it aloud type of a facility, right? We are actually thinking about aspects like that. There could be another scenario where I could just be talking, right? In the sense, instead of actually just showing it in text, I could actually be reading it out and helping the customer decide on the best choices. So there are multiple ways that you can actually improve the customer journey. And then you have multiple other, innovations coming in. Now, for example, the voice bots are coming, particularly in terms of renewals. So there is a voice bot which are actually able to understand, and it's able to speak. I wouldn't say it's like a human, but we are actually coming close to it now. So it is able to understand the customers, phrases, intents, and respond back appropriately, right? Similarly, on chatbots, right? If I'm able to type something, can I have, natural interfaces, and primarily basically helping the customer through the journey. And it doesn't end there, right? Like, once the customer pays, there is a entire service element. You could think about that as well.
Exactly. Okay. So, while concluding the discussion, so I would say that there are a lot of a lot of developments happening in terms of technology. New technologies are evolving. Okay, LLMs are there. Okay, so looking at at least 3 to 5 years from now, what do we envision as the next frontier of innovations in the fintech space? What are the kind of technologies? What are the kind of new solutions or something innovative that would appear in the next 3 to 5 years?
So a few technologies, we talked about blockchain. I think that will emerge. That's one of the technologies that will emerge significantly. Then we've got basically all of the, the AI solutions bought onto the browser, basically, right? So I forget the name, but basically think of this of, where the computation or the models are actually run on the client side, not on the server side. Okay. So now imagine it opens up a lot of opportunities for the entire customer experience, right? So, and then the third one is actually LLMs. I'm sure it is getting better and better, and it is. It won't be too far from now there when we actually have a fintech or a financial domain LLM, right? Specific to that. Right. So see, we've already gotten to a point where the computer vision is pretty accurate, right? Like whether when we talk about extracting documents, I mean information from documents and so on. The next level is that even the videos are actually pretty how do I say accurate now, like understanding content from the video and so on. So these are all some of the technologies, but from a business standpoint, I think most of the companies would be thinking around how do I take all of these technologies? Can I actually do a omni-channel kind of an experience? Right. So it will definitely be an omni-channel experience.
Very, very. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Santosh, for sharing your insights into this series on innovations in fintech and the crucial role that data science and technologies like AI, blockchain, LLMs could play in shaping the future of the financial services. So it's been a pleasure having you with us today. Thanks a lot for the audience as well. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Amit. Thanks for the opportunity and it was great speaking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For more updates from CXO TV, please like and subscribe to our channel.